Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is KJ Ricardo and today's video is a classic film review. I like to make film reviews every now and then, and because it's Valentine's Day, I thought I would feature a classic romance movie. And so we're looking at the 1961 film Breakfast at Tiffany's. This is based on Truman Capote's 1958 novella of the same name. It stars Audrey Hepburn as Holly Golightly, George Peppard as Paul Varjak, Patricia Neal, Mickey Rooney, Buddy Epson, and many others. This is Audrey Hepburn's most well-known and iconic film role. She's this naive, eccentric, cafe society girl, and Audrey considered this as one of her most challenging roles because she was an introvert in her personal life and she had to play an extrovert, and it was just very challenging for her. The movie tells the story of Holly Golightly in New York City. She meets a young man named Paul Varjak when he moves into her apartment building. He's a writer, but he hasn't had anything published in 5 years. And the two grow very close in this movie, and they learn more about each other. There's some wild, lavish parties, and we learn more about Holly and how she transformed from a country girl into a Manhattan socialite. However, we also learn that she has an estranged husband played by Buddy Epson, and she was married when she was 14 years old, but she says that the marriage was annulled. And so her husband tries to get her back and move to Texas with him, but she rejects him. Over time, Holly and Paul grow closer and closer to each other, and they're really good friends. Paul even buys an engraved ring from Tiffany's for Holly, and it's a very sweet gift. This is an unusual love story that you typically don't see in classic romance movies. We see Holly and Paul's friendship evolve over time. It takes many months for them to get together, and it takes a long time, plus many arguments, and eventually Holly and Paul finally embrace and realize that they belong together. This movie is all about Holly. Everyone else is simply a supporting character. Holly dresses well in her very famous black dress with the gloves. She dines well. She's a socialite, but she is also a free spirit with a romantic streak. And Audrey Hepburn performed her so well. You can't imagine anyone else playing Holly except for Audrey Hepburn. Holly is a complex character, and Audrey gave her so much more credibility than what was probably provided in the script. George Peppard gave a very reserved and capable performance as Paul Varjak. Paul's love ultimately enables Holly to come to realistic terms with herself in her life, and it's really nice to see that.
You're chicken. You've got no guts. You're afraid to stick out your chin and say, okay, life's a fact. People do fall in love. People do belong to each other, because that's the only chance anybody's got for real happiness. You call yourself a free spirit, a wild thing, and you're terrified somebody's gonna stick you in a cage. Well, baby, you're already in that cage. You built it yourself. And it's not bounded in the west by Tulip, Texas, or in the east by Somaliland. It's wherever you go. Because no matter where you run, you just end up running into yourself. Here, I've been carrying this thing around for months. I don't want it anymore.
Other supporting actors in this movie include Patricia Neal. She provides a very strong performance as Paul's wealthy sponsor or friend, whatever you want to call it. And Buddy Epson is very charming as Holly's estranged husband. And then there's Mickey Rooney. He, of course, is very funny. He was a comedian, but this is a controversial film role for him. He was playing a Japanese man, and Mickey Rooney was a white man. And so this was offensive to a lot of people, and it still is offensive. It's hard to watch for some people, and a lot of people say that it's the worst thing about this movie by casting Mickey Rooney in this role. And Mickey Rooney said that he never would have taken the role if he knew it was going to be offensive. Overall, I rate this movie 7.5 out of 10. That's a solid C+ rating. This is a fine movie directed by Blake Edwards. He had a smart direction to it. But you should probably know that this movie isn't an accurate adaptation of Truman Capote's novella. His work was a minor tragedy, while this movie is more a romantic drama with some comedy in it. The script isn't altogether neat. In fact, Truman Capote wasn't too pleased with it. He hated that Audrey Hepburn was in the lead role. He wanted Marilyn Monroe, which I can't really imagine Marilyn Monroe playing Holly Golightly. He said the movie was a valentine to free-spirited women rather than a cautionary tale about a little girl lost in the big city. That's what he was trying to accomplish with his novella, but he doesn't feel like the movie accurately portrayed his original work, and I totally respect his opinion on that. The movie hasn't received positive reviews over the years, with many critics saying that it's unbelievable. But no one, except for maybe Truman Capote, has criticized Audrey Hepburn. She absolutely lights up the screen. People might not know what this movie's plot is, or they might have never even seen this movie, but they know it because of Audrey Hepburn. They take one look at Audrey's iconic image from this movie and they know that it's Breakfast at Tiffany's. I enjoyed this movie best because of Audrey Hepburn, and I think most people would agree. If you removed Audrey Hepburn from this movie, you wouldn't have a movie at all. The movie won 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Score and Best Original Song for Moon River. The song has been recognized as one of the most recognizable and iconic songs in Hollywood film history. Breakfast at Tiffany's is culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. It's not my favorite movie in the world, nor is it my favorite movie starring Audrey Hepburn. That would probably have to go to Roman Holiday. But this is still an iconic, memorable movie. I think everyone has it on their bucket list that they want to have Breakfast at Tiffany's, and that's because of this movie. And so I definitely recommend seeing this movie at least once, but it's still an iconic movie and it's a part of film history. And I think if you are a fan of Audrey Hepburn's work, then you need to see this movie to fully understand her as an actress and understand old Hollywood history. You need to see this movie. And so I hope that you enjoyed this film review, and maybe you'll watch it this weekend for Valentine's Day. It has some romance in this movie, definitely, between Holly and Paul. They have an unusual romance, and it's nice to watch. So let me know what you enjoyed best about this movie. Do you enjoy Breakfast at Tiffany's? Let me know, and I would be happy to read that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with another film review. Happy Valentine's Day, and remember to always laugh often.